All right, this is just going to be your quick practice breakdown. If you think you got this and you just want to double check, I'm just going to run through a couple problems. There are a bunch of practice sheets you can run through and practice these on your own as a pre-check before you do the real mastery check here, okay? There we go. All right, so if we type in these measurements and we calculate with them, we want to keep track of those significant figure rules. So here we're doing multiplication and division, not addition. So if this was addition, we would want to always go to the most or the least precise to the right of the decimal place. When we're doing multiplication, we want to count the total number of sig figs. So I could ask questions like how many sig figs are here, or I could ask you to report out to the proper number of sig figs. So if you type in 3.24 and multiply by 7.0, your calculator is going to show this number, right? Your answer is going to be 23. So what we want to do is we want to go through and count. So I'll tell you on this one here, it's 2 sig figs because we reported this trailing 0, and there'd be no reason to tell you that unless it was actually significant. So this is the difference between when we're doing calculations on this side with those zeros versus on the other side with your answers. And there's a solution for that coming in the next activity. But for here, it's 2 sig figs. So when you round this, that's 1, 2. So we want to round based on this 6, and that's greater than 5. So this becomes a 3, and there's 23. If we divide out, we get this number in the calculator, which is way, way longer than our significant figures here. With here, we have 1, 2, 3 significant figures. Here, depending on what I just said, right? So we counted this as 2 sig figs. This one here is 1, 2, 3, 4 sig figs. So this one would be 4, this one would be 3. You're still going to go by your least precise. So you want to round it to 3 sig figs. That makes this 9 round the 1, which makes it a 2. I'm hoping this is making sense. So here, these are leading numbers. Those leading zeros do not count. So this is only 1 sig fig. On this one, it's a trailing, so that's 2 sig figs. This one here is 3, so we're going to round it to 3 sig figs based on this 6, making this one 200. Oh, I'm sorry. This is 2 sig figs, so we actually want to round it to here. I lied. So we want to round that number based on this number, which makes it 240. So this is why we know there's only 2 significant figures. That's where that 0 we were talking about can still lie to you a little bit. Because I know that these are only 2 significant figures, but if I reported this out and someone else used that number in a calculation, we just assumed that these trailing zeros were significant. So there's the sneaky part of that earlier check I gave you, was the 0 at the end is what messes everybody up. If it's in your calculation or if it's given as a reported answer. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 3 sig figs. We're going to round this one to 3 places. That's a 2, so this is only 570. But we know that this is really only 3 sig figs. This 0 is not a real 0. And we're dividing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Our least count is 3, so we round there based on this. Gives you 296. Okay, so hopefully that helped clarify for you. On your previous mastery check too, it's the same gig what we were just talking about. There's 3 sig figs here, and there's 3 of them. So our answer should only have 3 significant figures, which puts us at 227 based on that rounding. But these zeros here we round off because we don't want them. There's only 3 sig figs. This is the exact same measurement, but now when we give in centimeters versus millimeters, and this number is way bigger because we cubed it, in case you didn't catch that. So make sure if you're converting like a cube centimeter to millimeters cubed, you don't just move the decimals like you would a millimeter or a centimeter. That will definitely give you the wrong answer. When we round this answer to this exact same thing, right? We're going to take those 3 sig figs and we're going to round by this 9. This goes to 7, but then all these zeros, even if we get rid of the decimal, how do you know these zeros aren't significant? So there's one more little trick we need to make sure that when we are reporting answers and we're sharing between people, that we're as precise as possible, that we tell people how precise that is. And that's actually going to be called scientific notation. So you'll check that out in the next one.